Hi, my name's Ralph. I'm going to show how I did my knuckle offset bushings for NC Miata. Wasn't able to get a lot of camber for autocross or track, so I finally figured out. Someone told me that you actually can buy these bushings that go in the knuckle that are offset to one side. So this video, I'm going to show you how I got these out and how I got the new offset ones in. Also want to give a shout out to 949 Racing. I got them from them. I always buy stuff from them. Really like their stuff. Highly recommend supporting them. They're also great. You can call, they'll give you technical support and information. They're awesome. If you've been online anywhere with forums and what have you, you can see they're very active in that too. But they make nice stuff, great people, great product, and I got their offset bushings you'll see in the video, but they work great. They fit in nicely. Got a little over 1 degree more of camber with them, which is fantastic. And that's what this video will be for. Okay. So this is a stock bushing that's inside the knuckle right here. It's inside the knuckle. It's in this orientation with the flange up higher. This and I'm going to push that with this. I'm going to push this up through and into that little sleeve. That's just a cylinder. It's just a sleeve. And again, the ID is bigger. The ID is bigger than the OD of this flange, so when I push up, it'll go right inside this little, almost like a cup now, and pop it right out. It comes right out. It's really not bad at all. You got to crank on this a little bit. To talk about the OTC bearing tool, you want to get OTC. The Chinese brands, you're going to use them once or twice, and these threads are all going to be destroyed. They don't work. They're terrible. If you read reviews, when you go to buy a set of bearing puller like this, when you go to the cheapo ones, all the reviews are going to be how they worked once, didn't work at all, etc., etc. OTC is awesome. This thing has done trucks, trailers, campers, cars, like for years and years and years. Did lube this up a little bit. You want to keep that a little bit of lube on there just to lower the friction. That'll keep that thread nice. You can use an impact on this. I use the impact to crank this up, and works great. Pops right up into there. Again, when you push this up inside, basically it's going to pop that right up and then be done. And then I'll show you how I pull the other ones back down in the offset bushings. And you can see in here, it almost looks like that's on top of this, but it's not. It's actually in that little step. If you can see that little step in there, it's actually inside of that. I don't know if it's loose enough where I can move it. Yeah, there you go. So I haven't tightened it yet. But you can see that little washer. Now it's on the back side. But it's going to push that little washer when I tighten that down. And you get it lined up. I use this... I used that little solid steel washer because I didn't want to damage this here to push it out. And these are steel, so you can crank on those to push that right out. So here's the OTC tool. It's got that little sleeve. I'm going to push that inside this. You can see that fits in there. Fits inside this. A little dark, sorry about that. But that fits inside of it. And then this, I just used a really nice, thick, heavy washer so it wouldn't deform and would push nicely on that. And then again, that's just a sleeve. And this fits nicely inside of it. Like a shell game. Okay. I want you to make sure when you put these bushings in that there's nothing on this surface around here. If you have something in here, a little thing, anything in here, the flange isn't going to seat properly. So make sure that particular area is super clean before you press the bearing in, and make sure the flange, the flange and the bearing is also clean too. Very important. So this is going to be in the control arm. I'll show that in the video. This is so that I have really thick, so it won't deflect and go in and damage this hole, but around there. And then I'm going to try to center it in the center of this when I put it in. You'll kind of see me do that when I put this bolt through. So this bolt is going to go through. This will go through, and then I'm going to pull this with this washer on this side and this flange. The flange here is bigger than the hole on the bottom side, so basically I'm going to pull this through. Hold on. So this is my setup. This is my new bushing. This washer is a little bit bigger than the head. I did use a flange, not head, bolt for this. So I'm going to put this on the upper inside. I'll line up the slot properly. And I'm going to use the old bushing that I pushed out to actually pull this one through, because you'll see this is going to be bigger. This, not this side of it. This side of it is going to be bigger than the hole in the knuckle. So when I tighten this bolt, the sucker's going to pull this thing basically in to position. Like that. When I tighten this bolt, it's going to pull that sucker into the control arm. Probably a little clearer when I see it in there, but that's how I'm going to do it. And I played around like thick washer so I don't dent that, damage it, or whatever. I didn't even want to run this one, even though it's only slightly bigger than the hole. And then I used a nice heavy one here on this side to work well with that hole as well, to line up better with that hole. And again, a nice thick washer. And then I'll just tighten this down and I'll drive that sucker right in place. Okay, so you can see that I put a little mark there, but that's lined up in line, straight in, and closest to the inside of the car, which means the actual center line of this here is actually going to be outside more, and that will push the bottom out to give me more camber. That's the ball joint, the taper part. It's got a block in there holding it back. Got these nice big washers. I'll talk about those in a minute too. But you can see how that big nut right there, not the one behind the camera, is basically where you can see that little shaded mark. And it's gonna be off now when I tighten this down, but it's fine. So you can see I made a little mark. I lined it up. To me, it looks pretty close. Then I'm going to put this big bolt in here with a nice washer so I don't damage the surface up there. There it is. I got it started, like it probably went in a 1/16 of an inch or something in there. Sorry about that. Put the bolts in there, and I'll kind of move it to center it. Like you can see, it's just a little space, but it's going to still be really nice. And then I'm going to put these two washers. Oops. Nope. All right. Hold on. I'm going to put it together and then I'll show you. Okay. You can see that the old bushing, the flange, is bigger than this hole here. In fact, it's literally the size of that little mark I was talking about. So now when I tighten down this nut here, and try to get this nice and centered with the other side, because I'm going to basically pull it out to try to get it, because it's smaller than the holes, and I did that on purpose so that I can move the bolt to the center and then pull that flange through from the other side nice and even through and not cocking it. And we'll see how well that works. Okay, I just snugged this nut up a little bit, and you can see I was actually getting it to be centered quite well. So now when I tighten that nut here, That's going to pull the new bushing that's oriented properly in here. I'm going to go about halfway and then I'm going to loosen it and make sure it didn't turn, but it shouldn't because there's really not much incentive for it to turn. It's already kind of in there a little bit. But I'm going to check it before I get it all the way in because it'll be easier to take it out. And oh, and just to show you, this is the ball joint tool that I use to get these out. And you can see how it's bigger than that, and it kind of sits right there nicely. So when I basically use the clamp, I probably already showed you that in this video, but I'm doing it. Just putting this here now so you see it. So basically when I push this out, that insert will go into the space in here to push that out when you're removing them. And I just wanted to show you that because it's part way in. It's perfect to see that it clears. You have to clear this flange with the piece of pipe or what comes with the tool. You have to clear that flange in order to give it a space to go when you push it out with the C-clamp. Yep, so you can see once I drove it down in there, you can actually see that that sucker's down there pretty good. Maybe quite can't focus enough, but you can see that that's down on there all the way. That's me using the other one, the old one, to pull it through. And that's a nice big, and I centered it pretty well too, actually. It actually pulled in nicely. I need a camera stand to probably get better at that, but that's it. I'll just take this out. And it's not all the way to the bottom, but that's okay because the flange is all the way in. And when you tighten this nut, it's actually outside of that, so that gap is not a problem. You're basically tightening this against this face on this nut, and that will be out here. So